This park was not like this before. The place was bare. There was nothing green. But I think Masvingo City Council has done a good job. They've been putting lawns, planting trees, and as you can see, the place is turning green. It is becoming green, and also the vegetation that they are putting is helping to stop soil erosion. As you can see, if you go down, you are already going into the river. So it is playing a very important role to stop soil erosion, but also greening the city.
Saka tobatara kuti nhau dzeclimate dziya idzi Dr Maravanyika handiti dzatataura kuti nyika inofanira kunge ichigwa nadzo ndosaka mavona ndauya takataika ndiri kumasvingo todini vanhu vamasvingo tikavuya kunoti toda kuti nditaure nemi imi samascientist nokuti vanhu vanogara vachiti imi munotaura zvamusingazivi handiti pandandouya svika namai bodo ndaina kapepa kuti musazosiya mubvunzo handiti gainikondipi chikapepa kedu mukomana kapepa kedu saka hai kapepa ka ndekauti ndisasiya mubvunzo last hour dhara vanhu vanogara vachitaura tikatiri kuvic falls mabasics the basic elements eclimate change ndapi kuti vanhu vazive vari kumusha.
Mubvunzo wakanaka, thank you very much. Climate change it's a long-term change in weather patterns and temperature. So a long-term change, not something that happens in a short while. And the changes are happening because of the changes in the atmosphere. In our atmosphere, we have some gases that are there. And over time, there's been an accumulation of what we call greenhouse gases. These greenhouse gases include carbon dioxide, they include methane, they include even water vapor. There are many of them. What has been happening over time is that because of human activity, we have increased our burning of fossil fuel. These fuels, for example, when we want to generate electricity at Wange, you remember, yes, we are burning coal for us to generate electricity. We are burning fuels as we move for transportation, my vehicles as they are moving, and also even planes. So as we are doing that, we are emitting carbon into the atmosphere. There are so many factors that are leading to increase in these gases. The greenhouse gases, they have an ability to trap heat. So when the sun rays are coming to the earth and then they are reflected back, these gases, they trap this heat. And over time, because of so many gases that were going into the atmosphere, you find that the earth's surface is heating up. So as it heats, then we have lots of problems. The first problem, for example, is that we have on this earth, there are also areas that are filled with ice. In the North Pole, in the South Pole.
Santa Claus.
Yes, those places, they have ice. But when there is so much heat on the earth, the glaciers are melting and that water goes into the sea. As it goes into that sea, it means that there is a sea level rise. So the level of the sea is rising, a reason why you have so many floods in many places. Yes, exactly. So there is flooding happening because of too much water on earth. This water was previously in glaciers. As we are burning fossil fuels, so I want to say a little bit about what are the causes, what are the many causes that are leading to the increase in the greenhouse gases that I was talking about: carbon dioxide, methane, and also the water vapor. I'm just mentioning a few. Deforestation. You see that many people are cutting down trees. As you cut down trees, you are releasing the carbon that was trapped in those trees into the air. Then we have a lot of carbon dioxide going into the atmosphere.
So carbon emission?
Yes, carbon emission. Yes. As we are also transporting ourselves, I talked about transportation already, we are also emitting carbon into the atmosphere, and then this one becomes carbon dioxide. There are many other factors that are leading to climate change, and these are, what I'm talking about are the man-made human activities that are resulting in the greenhouse gases increasing in the atmosphere. But you also have natural factors that also affect, that increase the carbon dioxide concentrations in the atmosphere. For example, you find these volcanic eruptions, they are just happening naturally. when the Earth's surface is moving also, there is some things that happen that emits those gases into the air. So we have two type of factors. The first ones are natural ones, which just happen naturally, whether we are there or not. Then you have also human activities that are happening. And these ones, for example, if you look at the population, human population, we have increased in terms of our population. And as we increase, we are consuming more. We need more electricity, and we have to burn more fossil fuel for us to get the energy that we need. You also discover that agricultural activities, they are also the ones that are also in contributing to the increase in the amount of greenhouse gases that we have in the atmosphere. Agriculture, especially livestock production. Livestock production contributes to these gases in two ways. Number one, the manure that is produced by cattle, for example, that one also helps to increase the amount of methane in the atmosphere. The manure itself, as it is decomposing, it is also emitting a lot of gases into the atmosphere. Then secondly, if you are keeping cattle, for example, you must feed those cattle. Vast pieces of land are being cleared so that people can grow crops, so that they can produce feeds for the animals. So consumption of meat by itself is also a problem, and it is leading to challenges in terms of increase in the amount of carbon dioxide and these gases that we are putting in the atmosphere.
Marwa nemo handiti kuti nauye carbon dioxide nauye climate change haisanhiri yekuti toti ndeyanhasi kana ndeyazuro handiti uye nawe mataura yekuti pama-natural man-made nyaya yamagetsi ndo patoti pai vanhu ngavawisise kuti ndizvo here kuti sola yakanaka handitika nekuti vakaramba vachiti ngatipisei marashako wange tichiwedzera carbon handiti atmosphere hai zvakanaka saka isiti kuti climate action handiti kuti kundogadzirisa pana ma-economic benefits here kuti tigadzirise uye ndapi nekuti vanhu vanozoona tomanya ne-climate action voda kuziva kuti pana ma-benefits here.
Ndisati ndanyatsopindura the question you've asked, I would like to first talk about what is climate action. Because someone can ask us, what is this climate action? Climate action is in two parts. These are actions that we are taking either to reduce our emissions into the atmosphere so that we reduce climate change, or actions that we are taking so we can adapt to the changes that are with us. Climate action involves, if I'm to give examples of mitigation strategies that we can apply, you can talk about the electric cars that they are talking about these days. You can talk about solar systems. Electric cars, these are cars that are running on electricity and they are not burning any fuel. These cars, they don't emit any gases into the atmosphere. They are clean. Even pollution is reduced. So already there is one advantage of taking climate action. One, we have cleaner and healthier cities. The cities are clean because you are not emitting, you know, most cars when they are moving, they emit a lot of this black soot into the atmosphere and the carbon dioxide as well. So if we have these electric cars, our cities are clean, and there are many people in many cities who are suffering from diseases like asthma. This is because of the dust particles, the soot that is being emitted by burning fossil fuels. When the soot is removed by using, for example, electric cars, it means the health of those people is improved. They don't have to pay for any bills to go to the hospital because the environment is already clean. There are strategies for mitigation, for example, for adaptation, for example, where people are, for example, adopting drought-tolerant varieties, where people are growing small grains. No, I must not call them small grains, they are traditional grains. Yes, exactly. Yes. The advantage of promoting and growing these grains is that in areas where the rainfall is reduced, people will continue to harvest, they have food, so there is already food security. If we take climate action, These are actions we are taking to reduce the impact of climate change. If we reduce the impact, it means we have avoided extreme climate events. For example, the floods, we avoided droughts, we avoid hurricanes. In other places, they have these heavy storms. These storms, they actually destroy buildings, bridges, roads, and so on. If we take climate action, we are already taking a step so that we reduce the cost of repairing if such damages is to happen in future. So there is a lot to benefit for us. If you look at our country at the moment, people are energy hungry. Many places are not lit. We are generating electricity in two ways. We have hydroelectricity, where we are generating electricity in Kariba, and that is a renewable source of energy, which is encouraged. And that is part of climate action as well, because we are not burning fossil fuels. But I'm just saying, there is energy hunger in the country. People do not have the energy that they need for lighting, for cooking. So if we adopt solar panels, for example, then everyone is able to use. If you move around in communities, you already see people are using panels to light their homes. And suddenly people are in the light. And then they are also using solar energy to pump and irrigate. So you find people are putting these solarized bores, or they're extracting water from rivers using solar panels. This solar energy is in abundance in our country. And if we promote the use of this energy, it means, one, people are going to be there's going to be food security, because they are now producing food, and because of irrigation that they are adopting. People cannot, in rural areas, it's difficult for them to access electricity for irrigation, let alone even lighting. So climate action is so important for us, for enhancing food security, when everyone can produce and they have water, and they are extracting water from, for example, boreholes.
Ndooropa rangu tambomba kumba mtsinga ndofara nokuti takafundisa vana vedu handiti ezvitakuti vanhu vari kumusha vane vachiona vachihoti muri kuitei nenyaya yeclimate change. Tikati haibodo gai titsvake vana mazvikokota vanoziva. Handiti mataura nyaya yemagesi takambotizama kuti tiite munda wamasola kugwanda. Nyaya yacho maperero aimuisiva taitauri pavanhu tiri vanhu vakuru. Handiti asi hai tiri kumanya nokuti masola tiise minda yemasola. Madebeleland yose ita kuti ngoita munda wamasola kuti toti by 2030 tetaredusa macarbon emissions by 30%. Iyo tikutomanya nayo yakapenge iri 25. Tikati haibodo tiri kumanya tichimanya. Munoziva kuti tikutaura nevekudubai kuti neclimate financing kuti zviite. Saka hai ndafara namashoko ewayo. Chipepa changu chinacho. Saka isi tiri kuti research yamuita Dr Sama-scientist, handiti how does it inform evidence-based policies? Kuti muri pamunoita paya, how do you inform evidence-based policies? Nokuti maministry mazhinji anotemba nemu kuti vaoripota kwetiri. Saka how do ipapa?
Science is very important for decision making about climate change. For a start, our communities at the moment, they are not very much aware that climate is actually happening, that there is climate change. The research that we do, we can now bring about evidence to show them, for example, how much rains did we receive this season, so that people can see over time that actually the rains have been dwindling and the amount has been reducing. So just doing research to inform the public, so that you can show them the evidence around them, so that they can see that actually things are changing. The amount of water they are getting is decreasing. For example, the temperature also is increasing. So someone must do that research so that you can present it to communities, so they are convinced that actually climate change is happening. There are some people who still don't believe that there is any climate change happening. So when scientists are doing this research, it helps now to stimulate action. When people see for sure, they can see the evidence that temperatures are increasing, and they can see the data. You show them we have collected data at various stations, and we have been recording over time, and then these are the results. People tend to accept when they see evidence. So researchers have a role to play. We also have targets that we have set for ourselves. For example, we are part of we signed the Paris Agreement, and we set some targets for ourselves in terms of reducing emissions, for example, into the atmosphere. We need researchers now to go and say, because after a while we are supposed to present again and say, how have we progressed in terms of our targets? So scientists play a role there to go and document and measure to check if our emissions have actually reduced over time. The challenge with the Paris Agreement is that it is legally binding. Countries have to answer for where they are and why they've not met their targets. So the only way you can show proof also that you are moving towards your target is when scientists are going out, they are measuring things, they measure the emissions that are happening, and then you can present the evidence and convince people that actually we are on target or we are on behind target. There are many activities that people have been embarking on as part of their climate action. I was part of a program that was implemented by the Center for International Forestry Research. This program was being implemented in Masvingo forest. The aim of the program was to enhance sustainable management of that forest. The forest in Masvingo is critical because many rivers that are draining to the Kariba Dam, where we are generating our hydroelectricity, they actually originate from Masvingo forest. But there was a lot of deforestation taking place, and the forest is a state forest, and communities were not involved in managing it. Over time, as you can see, this forest, for example, is 82,000 hectares in size. Yes, and the Forest Commission has one guard who is moving around trying to protect the forest. So from that, you can see that you will not win the battle. So C4 came in with a strategy to say, let's enhance core management, so that communities become part of managing the forest. And they had also some benefits that they had to get by also managing. Because in the first place, as you know, the energy that is generated is not there in Masvingo. What would be the incentive? So the discussions were around communities trying to show them the benefits they can get also by helping to preserve the forest. So this is a climate action that I think was very important, but there was need for researchers now to come in and occasionally measure the amount of forage, the number of trees that are there, to show communities whether the forest is becoming better or not. Is there a benefit of managing it together with the communities? Also, the communities wanted to know how much can we get from the forest. So in this particular project, they were allowed to harvest non-timber forest products like grasses, michairo, or thatch grass for thatching and so on. These were low value products. The forest actually had high timber trees, but these trees, they take about 80 years to grow. So if you cut it today, what value are you going to add so that at least we can get the value of that tree and also the emissions that happens to the forest? So I just wanted to say there are efforts that we were making in this country, and there was need for researchers now to occasionally come in and assist the communities to check whether the forest is getting better or worse after that joint management. And one area which I found also fascinating is the role of scientists. You know, these communities, as they were harvesting the grass for brooms, they discovered that in some areas this grass was getting depleted. So they said, why is it getting depleted? Now we are managing it together with the Forestry Commission. In the end, they said, okay, let's experiment. Let's try to do an experiment. In one plot, they dug removing with the roots. But in other plots, what they did was they were cutting using sickles. They discovered that where you are digging, that grass is gone completely.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So they say to the scientists now, can you investigate, can you research for us what are the various ways that we can use to grow that grass? Because it's of economic value to them. So scientists were coming in, trying to help the community so that they could come up with ways of propagating that grass. And then their economy and livelihoods would be sustained.
Maita kunonzi kudedemura zvoipa ndatofunga kuti ndakaisa mapermanent secretary asi ndichakurangarira imwe nguva kuti ndokukanda ikoko handiti ndikuita permanent secretary nokuti hai tisive nevaya handiti